Good evening. There's a moment in life, quiet, almost invisible, when you look at someone and you don't just see their face, you recognize them. Not from memory, not from logic, but from somewhere deeper. It's like your soul pauses and says, "Oh, it's you." We spend so much of our lives searching for success, for meaning, for love, not realizing that sometimes what we're truly searching for is recognition. Not to be seen by the world, but to be seen by one heart that understands ours without translation. I recognized you not because you were perfect, not because you were loud, but because something in your silence matched mine. Tonight, I want to talk about that recognition, the kind that awakens us, the kind that heals us, the kind that reminds us we are not alone in this vast, unpredictable journey called life. Because sometimes love isn't about finding someone new. Sometimes it's about remembering someone you've always known. I recognized you, not in the way we recognize a face in a crowd, not in the way we remember a name from a distant past. It was quieter than that, softer. It didn't arrive with fireworks or thunder. It arrived like a whisper in the middle of chaos, like a pause between two heartbeats. I recognized you in the stillness. There are billions of people in this world, billions of stories, billions of footsteps crossing the same ground. And yet, most of them pass us by like shadows on a wall. We see them, but we don't feel them. We hear them, but they don't echo inside us. But then there is that one moment, that one presence, and something shifts. It doesn't make sense at first. You look at them, and the world doesn't stop, but the noise doesn't fade. Life continues moving exactly as it was. And yet inside you, something ancient wakes up, something that feels older than memory, older than logic, older than fear. It's not attraction. Attraction is loud. It rushes in full of excitement and urgency. It wants to possess, to impress, to conquer. Recognition is different. Recognition is calm. It doesn't rush. It doesn't demand. It simply knows when I say I recognized you, I don't mean I understood everything about you. I didn't. I don't. You are still a universe unfolding, filled with mysteries and contradictions. But somewhere beneath your words, beneath your smile, beneath the armor you wear to survive this world, I saw something familiar, a reflection. We spend most of our lives trying to be seen. We shape ourselves into versions we think the world will accept. We hide the fragile parts. We silence the fears. We polish the edges. We learn how to laugh when we are breaking. We learn how to stand when we are exhausted. We learn how to pretend we are invincible. And then one day, someone looks at us and we don't feel the need to pretend. That is recognition. It's the moment you realize you can exhale. I recognized you in the way you carried your pain. Not dramatically, not loudly, but with a quiet strength that didn't ask for applause. I recognized you in the way you listened, not to reply, not to impress, but to understand. I recognized you in the pauses between your sentences, in the way your eyes searched, not for attention, but for truth. There are wounds we don't talk about, wounds we carry like invisible tattoos. They shape the way we love. They shape the way we trust. They shape the way we run. I saw your wounds, and they did not scare me because I have my own. Recognition is not about perfection. It is about familiarity with imperfection. It is about seeing someone's broken pieces and not turning away. It is about feeling the cracks in their voice and hearing your own echo inside them. When two souls recognize each other, it is not because they are flawless. It is because they have survived similar storms. I recognize the storm in you, not the chaos, not the destruction, but the resilience. The way you kept going when it would have been easier to give up. The way you chose kindness even after being hurt. The way you still believed in something better. Even when the world gave you reasons not to, there is something powerful about being recognized, not admired, not desired, not chased, recognized. To be recognized is to be understood without explanation. It is to have someone look at you and say, without words, I see the parts you hide. And instead of judgment, there is acceptance. Instead of fear, there is warmth. In a world that constantly asks us to prove ourselves, recognition feels like coming home. Home is not always a place. Sometimes it is a person, a presence, a feeling. It is the space where you are allowed to be fully human. Not strong all the time, not confident all the time, just real. I recognized you when I realized I didn't need to perform around you. I didn't need to be louder, smarter, stronger. I could sit in silence and it wasn't awkward. It was peaceful. Silence is sacred when it is shared with the right person. Most silences are heavy. They press against us, demanding to be filled. But when you are with someone you recognize, silence becomes a language. It speaks in glances and small smiles. In the gentle rhythm of breathing side by side, love, real love, doesn't begin with fireworks. It begins with recognition. It begins with the feeling that you have known this person before, not in a past life, not in some mystical sense, but in a deeper emotional way, as if your experiences have prepared you to understand them, as if every heartbreak, every disappointment, every lesson was leading you to this moment of clarity. I know this feeling. Recognition is not about possession. It does not say you belong to me, it says I understand you, and there is freedom in that, because when someone understands you, you don't feel trapped, you feel expanded, you feel safe enough to grow. We all carry loneliness inside us, even in crowded rooms, even surrounded by friends and family. There is a quiet corner of the heart that wonders, does anyone truly see me? Recognition answers that question. It doesn't erase loneliness entirely, but it softens it. It reminds you that you are not invisible, that your struggles, your dreams, your fears, they matter to someone. I recognized you in the way you spoke about your dreams, not with arrogance, but with vulnerability. You weren't certain you would achieve them. You weren't sure the world would make space for them, but you carried them anyway, carefully, like fragile glass. That kind of hope is rare. And when I saw it, I felt something inside me respond because I carry fragile dreams too. Dreams that have been questioned, dreams that have been laughed at, dreams that sometimes feel too heavy to hold alone. Recognition is when two people realize they are tired of holding everything alone. It is when walls begin to lower, not because they are forced down, but because they are no longer necessary. I recognized you in your contradictions, in your strength and your softness, in your courage and your fear. You were not one thing. You were many things at once, and instead of confusing me, it made you real. We are taught to present clear identities, to define ourselves in simple terms: strong, independent, successful, happy. But real people are layered. They are complex. They are sometimes unsure. Recognition honors that complexity. It says, you don't have to simplify yourself for me. There is a quiet bravery in letting someone see you fully. Not just the victories, but the doubts. Not just the laughter, but the tears. And when that bravery is met with understanding instead of rejection, something profound happens. Trust begins. Trust is not built in grand gestures. It is built in small moments, in consistency and honesty, in showing up when it would be easier not to. I recognized you in those small moments, in the way you remembered details, in the way you asked how I was and actually waited for the answer. To be heard is to be valued, and in your presence, I felt valued. Not for what I could offer, not for what I could achieve, but simply for who I was. Recognition is a mirror, but not one that reflects our surface. It reflects our depth. It shows us the parts of ourselves we sometimes forget. The kindness, the resilience, the quiet strength. When I recognized you, I also recognized something within myself. A softer version, a more open version, a version that wasn't afraid to feel deeply. Emotion is often misunderstood as weakness. We are told to control it, to hide it, to manage it carefully. But emotion is proof that we are alive. It is proof that we care. It is proof that we are connected. Love without emotion is empty, and emotion without recognition is chaotic. But when recognition and emotion meet, love becomes grounded. It becomes steady. I recognized you not because you completed me. I was already whole, and so were you. Recognition is not about filling a void. It is about aligning two wholes. It is about walking beside someone, not leaning on them to survive. There is dignity in that kind of love. A love that does not suffocate. A love that does not control. A love that says, I am here not to own you, but to understand you. Understanding is one of the purest forms of affection. You can desire someone without understanding them. You can admire someone without knowing them. But to truly understand someone, to see their patterns, their fears, their strengths, and still choose to stay, that is rare. I recognized you in the way you stayed. In a world where people leave at the first sign of discomfort, you stayed. You leaned into difficult conversations. You chose honesty over convenience. You chose depth over distraction. And in that choice, I saw myself, because I have grown tired of surface connections, tired of conversations that skim the top but never dive deeper, tired of pretending that everything is fine when it isn't. Recognition is a shared desire for depth. It is two people saying without saying, let's not waste this. There is something sacred about that. When you recognize someone, you don't just see who they are now. You see who they are becoming. You see the potential in their growth. You see the future versions of them unfolding slowly. And instead of fearing change, you embrace it. Because recognition is not frozen in time. It evolves, it deepens, it matures. Every conversation reveals new layers. Every shared struggle strengthens the bond. Every moment of vulnerability becomes a thread in a tapestry that grows richer over time. I recognized you not as a perfect person, but as a real one. And in a world that often rewards illusion, reality feels revolutionary. To love someone you recognize is to love them in truth. It is to accept that there will be disagreements, that there will be misunderstandings, that there will be moments of distance. But beneath all of that, there is a foundation of knowing, a foundation that says, even when we struggle, I still see you. Recognition does not erase conflict, it transforms it. It shifts the focus from winning to understanding, from defending to listening. And in that shift, love becomes stronger. There will always be challenges. Life does not slow down because two people have found each other. Responsibilities remain. Fears resurface. Old habits try to return. But recognition acts as an anchor. When the world feels unstable, it reminds you of what is real. I recognized you in the way you looked at the world, not with cynicism, but with cautious hope. You have been hurt, I know that. I have too. But you did not let pain turn you bitter. You allowed it to make you wiser. Wisdom wrapped in kindness is rare, and when I saw that in you, I felt gratitude. Gratitude that in this vast, unpredictable universe our paths crossed. Gratitude that among billions of faces yours felt familiar. Gratitude that in a time where connection often feels temporary, this felt enduring. Recognition is not loud. It does not announce itself. It grows quietly, steadily, like roots beneath the surface. And one day you realize the roots are deep, deep enough to withstand storms, deep enough to nourish something lasting, deep enough to support growth that neither of you could achieve alone. I recognized you not because you were perfect for me, but because you were honest with me, because you allowed me to see you without filters, because you met my vulnerability with your own. And in that shared openness, something undeniable formed. Not possession, not obsession, not dependency, connection. A connection built on understanding, on empathy, on shared resilience. When I say I recognized you, I am saying that I saw your humanity. I saw your flaws and did not flinch. I saw your strength and did not compete. I saw your heart and did not take it lightly. And in seeing you, I felt seen. That is the miracle of recognition. It is mutual. It is reciprocal. It is a silent agreement between two souls to drop the masks and stand honestly before each other in a world that often feels rushed, distracted, and fragmented. That kind of presence feels almost sacred. It feels like standing still in the middle of a storm and realizing that somehow you are not alone in the rain. And as we continue walking through this unpredictable journey, through victories and failures, through laughter and tears, through moments of clarity and moments of doubt, I carry with me that quiet certainty. I recognized you. Love does not always begin with words. Sometimes it begins with a pause, a space between two people where nothing is forced, nothing is performed, nothing is demanded. Just presence, just breath, just the quiet awareness that something meaningful is unfolding, even if neither person can explain it. Yet we live in a world that worships noise. Constant messages, constant updates, constant declarations. We are taught that if something is real, it must be loud, it must be announced, it must be displayed for everyone to see. But the deepest things in life rarely arrive that way. The ocean is powerful, yet its depth is silent. The night sky holds entire galaxies, yet it does not shout. The human heart carries immeasurable emotion, yet its most profound moments often happen in stillness. Love begins there, in silence. Not the awkward kind of silence that begs to be filled. Not the uncomfortable kind that exposes distance, but the kind that feels safe. The kind that feels like rest. The kind where two people sit across from each other and the world softens around them. Before love speaks, it listens. It listens to the rhythm of another person's breathing. It listens to the way their voice shifts when they talk about something they care about. It listens to the tremble they try to hide when they speak about something that hurt them. In that listening, understanding begins, and understanding is the first true language of love. You can talk to someone for hours and never feel connected. Words can be clever, they can be charming, they can even be poetic. But connection does not depend on vocabulary, it depends on presence. When two hearts understand without explanation, it feels like recognition without effort. You don't have to over-describe your feelings. You don't have to justify your reactions. You don't have to shrink your emotions to make them easier to handle. You simply feel understood. There is something deeply human about wanting to be understood. Not fixed, not corrected, not analyzed, just understood. Silence creates space for that. When you sit with someone in silence and it feels natural, it means you are not afraid of what will surface. It means you trust that your thoughts, however imperfect, will be met with patience. Love does not rush to fill every gap. It allows gaps to exist. It allows space for reflection, space for vulnerability, space for honesty. In that space, defenses slowly lower, masks begin to slip. The version of ourselves we show the world fades, and the real version steps forward. And if the other person stays, if they remain steady, calm, open, something extraordinary happens. Two hearts begin to align, not in perfect harmony, not in identical experiences, but in shared understanding. You begin to notice small things. The way they go quiet when they are overwhelmed, the way they look away when they are trying not to show emotion, the way their laughter changes when it is genuine versus when it is polite. You start to read between the lines, and they do the same with you.